Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is the 18th of March 2024, and these are the stories we will be discussing during the course of the show. We'll begin, ladies and gentlemen, with Pakistan's resolve to strike back if attacked. This was, of course, said by the President of Pakistan, Asif Ali Zardari Saab, in the wake of all the attacks that have been happening in Pakistan since the last few months. And the latest, of course, being 7 troops, including 2 officers who were martyred in North Waziristan's Mir Ali on Saturday. Then also, other incidents that have been regularly happening in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and in Balochistan area as well. And the fact is that a lot of this is happening because of the infiltration of militant outfits from across the border, from the Afghan side. Pakistan has time and again told the Afghan side to curb the nefarious activities of such militant outfits, but it seems to have fallen on deaf ears. What needs to be done now? What is Pakistan's strategy in the wake of the continuation of such incidents? This is going to be part of our discussion as far as our first story is concerned. Then we will be talking about the discussions between the Pakistani side and the IMF side. This is, of course, a crucial round of talks for Pakistan's newly elected government to determine whether the country has met the conditions to receive the much needed final $1.1 billion tranche of a $3 billion bailout. Apparently, as far as the discussions are concerned, there are certain conditionalities that the IMF has put forward, but it seems as if things are on the right track. We'll be discussing different aspects of the relationship between Pakistan and the IMF. Then we are going to talk about elections that were that happened recently in Russia, as a result of which President Vladimir Putin has won a record 88% in these elections. Exit polls confirmed that, and this makes Vladimir Putin the longest running president of Russia in its history. Finally, the death anniversary of MM Alam, the 11th death anniversary of MM Alam, is being observed across Pakistan today. He was, of course, he had the remarkable feat of downing 5 Indian Air Force jets in less than a minute during the 1965 war, a record that has remained unbeaten to date. And of course, this was said to be ace in a day on the 7th of September 1965. He's remembered today on his 11th death anniversary. Let's begin with our first segment, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns Pakistan-Afghanistan relations in the wake of the nefarious activities that are being carried out from across the border in Afghanistan into Pakistan. The latest incident of which, of course, has resulted in the shahadat of 7 Pakistani officers. This is something that has been continuing for quite some time despite Pakistan's repeated warnings to the Afghan side. We've been joined by 2 important guests to discuss that and more in the studios. We've been joined by Brigadier retired Masud Saab. He's a defense and a senior analyst. Thank you very much, sir, to have joined us. And online, we've been joined by Dr. Maria Sultan, who's a defense analyst as well. Dr. Maria, thank you very much to have joined us as well. Let's begin with you, Brigadier Masud Saab. At the funeral of Lieutenant Colonel Sayyid Kashif Ali and Captain Muhammad Ahmad Babar Saturday night, President Asif Ali Zardari asserts that the blood of the martyrs will not go in vain and the country will avenge the deaths. He also said Pakistan has decided that whoever will enter our borders, homes or country and commit terror, we will respond to them strongly regardless of who it is or from which country. How important are these statements?
Thank you very much. The statement is very important, and President being the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, and beside then he attended their funeral ceremony, that is a noble gesture. But that demonstrates the resolve of Government of Pakistan and its institution, and they are determined to eliminate the terrorism. As the President has said, they will take all steps to strike wherever it is possible to these hideouts or from where they are operating, whether within Pakistan, even at times there is a possibility we can go outside of Pakistan as well.
All right, Brigadier Masud Saab, according to an annual security report that was released by the Center for Research and Security Studies, Pakistan witnessed 1,524 violence-related fatalities, 1,463 injuries, 789 terror attacks and counter-terror operations in 2023. This is a 6-year high, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan have been the primary centers of violence. This accounts for about 90% of all fatalities and 84% of attacks. If we understand the whole scenario, I mean, as a layman, it seems as if it is Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan that are the main centers of targets of these militant outfits. But what do they want? What is their objective?
The objective is very simple. They want to create panic, chaos and confusion across the Pakistan and to their ulterior motives. And at the same time, basically they are doing it, these banned terror outfits at the behest of their handlers. Mostly when we talk of their handlers, they are acting as a proxies for mostly for the Indian RA. And since they are operating from Afghanistan, so they are also getting help from Afghan Taliban government. So as we are saying for the last several months that Afghan government has provided them safe havens and weapons and at the same time passage to for these terrorist activities. So they want to basically pressurize Pakistan. The step which Pakistan has taken recently, and when we try to streamline our the document system, the one document concept was introduced, and then there was a crackdown on the smuggling. Then there was a concept of Afghan transit trade. We also try to streamline those. Then deportation of illegal Afghans from Pakistan. And certainly this has has given us. They basically consider, because they were enjoying their facilities, economic activity inside Pakistan, they were having properties. So they were basically negative impact on the economy of Pakistan at the same time. So these are some of the factors, I think, which basically they are using is as a pressure tool against Pakistan.
All right, but killing people, killing officers of our defense outfits, do you feel this is a pressure tactic, and do you feel this is their mentality, that this is how they will resort to if we go as per as per the book and try to tell them, these are the rules and regulations that you have to go and you have to follow, and if you don't, then of course things will not go the right way, and this is how they react. It will be our way or the highway. The fact is, there is a huge militant trend that we've seen that maybe was in the hiding, or maybe not as apparent, but now it has been quite apparent, whether it be Tehreek-e-Jihad-e-Pakistan, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, the Hafiz-ul-Bahadur group, which are resurfacing and claiming more and more lives with such incidents. How should, in your point of view, Pakistan, now that it has taken also a stand on how it is going to move forward as far as transit trade is concerned, as far as activities across the border are concerned, how should now Pakistan deal with such a militant trend?
First of all, I think there is one terrorist organization now, that is Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. There are 42 factions under this umbrella organization of TTP. And recently we have seen the Jamaat-e-Ihraj having an alliance with the Tehreek-e-Taliban, then Lashkar-e-Islam, and most prominently Hafiz-ul-Bahadur group. Previously they were Dragon, and there was a division of Wazirs and Masuds. Now they are the same. And even Tehreek-e-Jihad-e-Pakistan was a pseudo name taken by the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. Basically when they were under pressure, so they started terrorist activity with this name of Tehreek-e-Jihad-e-Pakistan. So probably it is now up to the one thing is important, that we have to engage Afghan Taliban again. That is very important. We don't want to leave a diplomatic vacuum and giving others to fill that vacuum.
Especially India.
Especially India. So India recently is trying its best to make comeback inside Afghanistan. So that is very important. Secondly, we can go for a regional connectivity formula of involving the regional countries, mainly China. China can play a decisive role as far as the normalizing relations is concerned, because they have accepted Bilal Karimi of Afghanistan as their ambassador in Beijing. So that is important. And secondly, other important countries like Russia, even United States can play. The United States, they are also planning to open their embassy inside Afghanistan. So the dynamics with every passing day is changing. So there is a possibility that we can, but we can go to neutralize these hideouts from where these terrorists, they are operating, from where they are getting all these sport weapons and equipment. So the last resort will be to neutralize, to strike at those hideouts inside Afghanistan, as we demonstrated in Sistan, Balochistan.
And also, as President Asif Ali Zardari has just said very recently, Pakistan, this increase in militant violence, suicide bombings that have created hundreds of lives, most of them have been attributed to the TTP and its affiliates or its offshoots, as you have just explained. In your point of view, and as a layman also, I'd like to understand why hasn't the Afghan interim government taken significant measures despite Pakistan's repeated requests? I understand there is this little pressure tactic that they're using, but this goes beyond pressure tactic, doesn't it?
This is the international community too. They are concerned. They recently, with the report which was been issued by United Nations Analytics Support and Sanction Monitoring Committee, and they have also highlighted this issue of TTP gaining strength inside Afghanistan and attacking Pakistan. But they highlighted that Afghan Taliban, they are not exerting any pressure on them. Similarly, the CENTCOM chief General Kurela, while speaking before the Senate's Arms Committee, he said the TTP is the threat to Pakistan's stability, and he said there is an upsurge in the terrorist activities inside Pakistan from Afghanistan. And he said that the Afghan Taliban, they are not fulfilling the commitment which they made to according to Doha Agreement and subsequently United Nations Security Council resolution and regional connectivity. So the commitment made to the regional countries. So all these things are happening. The only thing is basically it is Afghan Taliban which basically they are ignoring, and as I said to my assessment, they are using them as a bargaining chip, a bad leverage to pressurize Pakistan for their gains and for their motives inside Pakistan.
So basically what you are trying to say, Brigadier Sahab, is that the motives of the Afghan government are more or less violent in nature. You know, it's not diplomatic in nature, as Pakistan has time and again sent emissaries to Afghanistan to try to find a way forward and to end such nefarious activities. But for the Afghan Taliban or the interim Afghan government, this is the way that they deal, that this is through violence.
Yeah, exactly. Recently there was a envoys conference in Afghanistan attended by Pakistan, Iran, Russia and China. They showed their concern as far as the response of Afghanistan is concerned. Then there was a Munich Security Conference where 12 countries they participated. There was in Germany. Again, there was a concern of the happening inside Afghanistan, and the recently Doha conference, which was concluded, where 25 countries they attended, which was rejected by the Afghan Taliban. Again, the concern was the terrorist activities, and mainly the United Nations Analytics Support Committee report. Last year, it is issued annually. Last year, they said TTP and ISK, they are gaining strength. This time the report said, which was released, issued in January this year, they said Al-Qaeda is now gaining strength inside Afghanistan. They have established 4 new bases in 4 provinces. They have been named, and at the same time they also said one Al-Misri, he is training the TTP suicide bombers in Kunar province. And then they also said the Al-Qaeda, they basically supported TTP in their attacks at Chitral, the FC post. So the dimensions, dynamics are changing inside Afghanistan. Threat for Pakistan was there and is there, but it's also now to regional countries, and subsequently it will go globally. It will be a global threat, and the threat is real now.
The threat definitely is real, and that is why Pakistan's permanent representative to the UN, Munir Akram Sahab, also addressed the issue during a briefing to the United Nations Security Council, and he said that the Afghan interim administration needs to sever ties with the TTP, and highlighted the failure of the government to control the TTP and other militant outfits. He said left unchecked, the TTP supported by Al-Qaeda and some state sponsors could soon pose a global terrorist threat. Will his statement be looked upon? Do you indeed see this threat that is currently towards Pakistan also emanating to other countries, to the region, and then becoming a more wider threat?
There are 23 terrorist organizations operating inside Afghanistan. 17 they are focusing on Pakistan. Rest, their objectives is global. Eastern Turkestan Islamic Movement focuses in China. ISK is Central Asia, and globally they want to attack across anywhere. And second, then there is a Tehrik-e-Taliban Tajikistan, specifically focus on Tajikistan. And then there are beside this Islamic Uzbekistan, Islamic movement of Uzbekistan. Again, that is focusing on Uzbekistan. So, and Al-Qaeda is an international terrorist organization, and their agenda is, and the CENTCOM chief has said that ISK has gained a strength and they can strike anywhere in United States, across West, within 6 months without giving any warning. So, that is the magnitude of threat which is developing inside Afghanistan. Al-Qaeda, ISK, TTP and rest others. So, they are threatening the not only the region, the entire world.
And of course, Pakistan is bearing the brunt of it all with the amount of incidents that are happening in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan. And let's hope the world realizes that it needs to act strongly against the Afghan interim government in order to come to some kind of solution as far as this whole, plethora of militant activities from across the Afghan border is concerned. Thank you so very much, Brigadier Masud Ahmad Khan Sahab, to have joined us and to have talked to us about this very important issue of militancy, of cross-border terrorism that has been plaguing Pakistan's, especially since the last few months. And I hope some kind of resolution comes through with the help of our friendly countries and the important powers in the West before they themselves become victim to this as well. Thank you very much, sir, to have joined us. Let's come to our second story, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns, of course, Pakistan and IMF that are undergoing talks as far as the last tranche of the $3 billion SBA is concerned. This is a crucial round of talks for the much needed final $1.1 billion tranche of a $3 million bailout. These talks began on Thursday in Islamabad with the government of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, whose advisors have hinted that Pakistan will seek a new bailout when the current one expires this month. Although there are a lot of optimism as far as how this whole process of talks is going on, but there are also some conditionalities that the IMF seems to have put to the Pakistani government as far as the continuity of its relationship with the IMF is concerned. Is Pakistan going to continue with the IMF with a robust relationship? Because looking at the past, we've only had one full program of the IMF that was completed between 2013 and 2016. So the IMF also looks at Pakistan with a skeptical eye, but of course the SBA, Pakistan has undergone this SBA under the right environments and with the right circumstances and fulfilling all the conditionalities of the IMF. We've been joined, ladies and gentlemen, in the studio by Ali Salman Sahab. He's the Executive Director of Prime and he is right here with us. Ali, thank you very much to have joined us. Good to see you in the studios. The IMF last days of talks with Pakistan as far as this 1.1 billion last tranche of the 3 billion SBA is concerned. What happens now from now onwards? What are the things that as an economist you are looking forward to? Is it just the 1.1 billion or is there more to it?
Well, I think it was long expected that this, when we are going to finalize the second and final review of the SBA, the country would be actually entering into negotiation with an extended IMF program, another IMF program, which will be program number 24. I think there are two stages right now. So, first stage is that the review is complete, which is expected, this week. It will lead to hopefully a staff level agreement, and then fresh discussion will start with a longer term program, which we are expecting between Pakistan and IMF to be signed late, but that is second stage.
Ali, I'd like to understand, there are a lot of conditionalities that the IMF has put forward as far as sources say. They talk about pensions, salaries, climate financing, monetary policy, and the hope that both parties will reach a consensus on these and more, such as asset declarations of officers and negotiations with provinces. From a Pakistani perspective, how important is it to be transparent, clear, and have a proper consensus with the IMF in order to move forward?
Well, I think we need to realize that the current policy, in the current policy environment, we have the IMF program and we have to seriously adhere to the goals and targets which are set by the mission. Now these, of course, this is like, you put a patient in ICU, and while the patient is in ICU, then you have to really take care of the urgent treatments. This is not like a long-term solution for Pakistan's economy, but as long as we are in IMF program, whether it comes to let's say the case of monetary policy, as you mentioned, and today the meeting took place, and the MPC has decided to retain the rate, which is contrary to what probably many business houses were expecting, but in line with what IMF model or IMF the delegation would have suggested, given the rising level of short-term inflation rates. So right now, I think it is in our best interest to remain within the framework. However, I think going beyond this framework, we also look at and identify our own priorities. For instance, talking about the tax reforms or tax collection, these are two different things. So we normally talk about revenue collection targets, which is identified in the IMF program, or budget deficit target, right? We also need to aggressively pursue the tax reforms agenda, and that means that we need to probably come to a situation where we are having a broad-based tax at a uniform level of taxation. That is not there in the program, explicitly defined, and this is for the country own priority. So I think in a short term, we have to really sink in with the program requirements, but in a parallel, we need to develop our own program, which is defined by our academia, think tanks, private sector, and that should lead to really the economic transformation.
All right, but of course, for the moment, we have to have a very committed and consensus-based relationship with the IMF in order to take Pakistan out of the different issues, economic and others, that Pakistan is facing. Now, the IMF, as per the sources, says is also going to discuss with the provinces a lot of subjects which include fiscal operations, debt management, commodity schemes, also issues related to fiscal decentralization and regional economic policies. How important are these discussions as well?
Omar, these are extremely important discussions. And given the recent outcomes of the elections with the polarized mandate, I think this has become quite crucial that not only the federal government, but also all the provincial governments are aligned with the kind of fiscal discipline which is the real need of the hour. Now, there has been some voices, for instance, talking about NFC award, which is given and defined in the constitution, that from in the future we cannot reduce the provincial shares in the provincial award. So any such expectations would be met by resistance. Already the government of Sindh has announced, the Chief Minister has announced that not be up to negotiation. We can expect similar announcement from KP province. So I think we need to have provincial government and also the federal government on the same line. However, I think it is also important that the provincial governments take up the responsibility of reforming their own tax bases. One such agenda is the property taxation, which is a provincial domain. Agriculture income tax is another provincial domain, which is their responsibility. Right now, its federal government collects on their behalf, and according to NFC award gives them money, but the revenue raising from the provincial side has been quite, I think, negligible, except maybe in the services tax on the in terms of GST. But there are other tax bases which provincial government needs to really look into, so that they are partner in the development. Because you see, if you look at the two major expenditures, the defense and the debt servicing, they are exclusively owned by the federal government. Provincial government just are outside it, and but provincial government have to spend money on education, health, and law and order and other important areas, and they need to increase their own revenue basis.
All right. Now, speaking of revenue bases and revenue collection, how important is financial transparency and accountability in order to not only put our house in order and, as you said, develop our own home grown program, but also to show to lenders such as the IMF, the ADB or others, that we can firmly stand on our feet?
Well, I think first of all, there has to be a discussion on what needs to be happen, and there is, I think the political parties needs to take the ownership of that transformation program. There are, various ideas which have been floated before the elections in the name of charters or economic agenda and a manifesto, but we have not seen political parties taking any deep interest in these discussions. The discussion has been totally on political lines or partisan approach, but there was hardly any serious discussion on the what needs to be done on the economic front. Where now everyone agrees that there has to be agreement on certain basic things. For instance, if you look at privatization, now on one hand the federal government also consistent with the IMF program has been talking about the privatization of PIA, for instance. But already we heard a voice from People's Party, which is sort of part of the coalition, of course, although they are not part of the cabinet yet. They are opposing it, and these kind of messages would decrease Pakistan's government credibility vis-a-vis IMF, and that will affect also our international standing. IMF is not just it's kind of certificate of your financial health. So if the program is going as per the target, then we expect other markets, international investors to come in and invest in Pakistan. So we need that, and we need that clarity in our priorities also.
That is so true. Our priorities need to be clear, our economic agendas need to be clear, transparent, how we will be going forward, how we need to go forward, and that also needs to be made clear to lenders such as the IMF, with whom we need a robust relationship in order to strengthen our economy. Thank you very much, Ali Salman, to have joined us, to have come all the way to the studios, and we hope to see you pretty soon again to talk economy. Let's come to our last two stories very, very quickly. The first concerns Vladimir Putin, who has won the Russian election in a landslide with no serious competition. Of course, the outcome means he is to embark on a new 6-year term that will see him overtake Joseph Stalin and will become Russia's longest serving leader for more than 200 years if he does complete it. He won 87.8% of the vote, the highest ever result in Russia post-Soviet history, according to an exit poll by pollster the Public Opinion Foundation. The Russian Public Opinion Research Center also put Putin on 87%. Of course, these are huge numbers, and we wish Mr. Vladimir Putin all the very best for his next 6-year term. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, today is also the 11th death anniversary of the 1965 war hero Muhammad Mahmud Alam, popularly known as Alam. Pakistan Air Force legendary hero. We all know him for piloting the F-35 Sabre, who shot down 5 Indian warplanes in less than a minute during the 1965 Pakistan-India war, and of course downed a total of 9 warplanes during his aerial flight. He was the first ever fighter pilot for Pakistan Air Force, listed on top in the Hall of Famous list at the Pakistan Air Force Museum in Karachi. He is also considered as a national hero for Pakistan, most significantly for his remarkable performance in the 1965 war. He was awarded the Satara-e-Jurrat and also the BAR medal. He passed away in Karachi on this very day in 2013 at the age of 77 after a protracted illness. It is heroes like these that we always remember for their bravery, for their valor, and we need to not only honor that bravery but also inculcate them in ourselves, in those around us. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end of today's newsroom. See you inshallah tomorrow with new stories segments that pertain to us, you and Pakistan. Allah Hafiz.